Hello, hello, hello. My name is NicholassRivas. I talk about politics and stuff. And today we're going to be talking about the most recent midterms. We're here. We're basically through the bulk of it. We know some big winners, some big losers. Basically, still learning what's going on. Of course, it's not concrete with a lot of things. Arizona is counting their votes as we speak, but it's leaning more Democrat. So yeah, I guess let's jump into it. So definitely not the red wave. And that makes me happy. I'm in a good mood. I think people who know the trend is the midterms are usually whatever the presidency is, the House and Senate go opposite of that. We saw it with Obama, we saw it with Clinton, we saw it with George Senior, we saw it with Trump. George Bush was the outlier. He did not have anything like that because his first year he was very popular. Maybe because of the war. I don't fully remember the context. Obviously, I was a child and I haven't read into why he was that high up. But typically, Biden should be in a position where he loses so much seats, so much this, and given his unpopularity, he's in the same I think polling as Trump was. So very polarizing figure. You think he would have a pretty big loss, but he didn't. You had the midterms basically show if the Republicans do have a win, quote unquote, they're probably going to get one or the one House, maybe the Senate, but they're not going to get both. They're not going to have this devastating win, given that we're at right now. Some of the big notable wins: Fetterman against Oz in Pennsylvania. Everyone thought Oz was going to destroy Fetterman, this kind of low level candidate. He in the political sphere, he's really not that big, and neither is Oz. But he at least has name and money and recognition behind his back, and endorsements by Trump. I mean, you'd think he would win, but ousted, done. Warnock versus Herschel. Herschel Walker is a guy who pretends to be a cop. Has multiple abortions and has accusations against him, yet he's anti-abortion. Just a complete fraud. Warnock is a preacher who's incumbent and all around pretty far left in relatives to what they believe, but I think he's more left to center than he is lefty. So I like some of his policies. I like some of his mindsets, and he was actually the tiebreaker in the last Senate election. So crazy to see how it's come back here, but he is going against a pretty tight competitor, and they're probably going to go into the runoff. But that being said, it should have been a slam dunk for the Republicans. You have this high inflation, this record-breaking gas prices, and they couldn't win. And I think it's mainly because these people who should have had these notable wins, like the Oz's and Herschel Walkers, were really riding the coattail of Trump, and right now he looks the most unpopular. The Republican Party looks very unpopular, given that a lot of the states with the provisions to keep and maintain or protect abortion rights won. States definitely remembered the abortion overturns by the Republican Party. So, we can sit here and say, Biden sucks, and I definitely think there's a lot of things I hate about the guy. But given this situation, his popularity and the Republicans' terrible decisions and policies really showed here. You have people like Lauren Boebert, who is a Trump sycophant, who's backed by Trump, prodded by Trump, one of the biggest Trumpers. She's in a tight race right now and might lose. Nobody knows her. I don't even know her competitor. That's how prolific she is and how her opponent isn't, and how her prolificness did not really bring good. I mean, this should have been a walk in a park. You have the worst president ever in the Republicans' eyes. In Arizona, Mark Kelly's most likely going to win. Carrie Lake might win. Given right now Katie Hobbs is leading, we'll still see. But this is Arizona. This is a pretty Republican state. And I think Trump left a bad taste for Arizonans, especially after he attacked McCain. So you have a pretty big conglomeration of people being against Trump, albeit the one big winner was Texas and Florida. Now, Texas, I didn't look into every House and Senate race, but I do know Abbott beat Beto. Beto O'Rourke, lefty, center left, if anything. Pretty anti-gun, lost. not decisively enough to say like, oh, they'll never be a Democrat, but definitely enough to say, hey, Abbott won, pretty cleanly. For being Texas, I give him credit, but we're seeing this shift. We're seeing these Republicans go against these okay Democrats, and it seems like we don't have the craziest of the craziest winning. I don't think J.D. Vance, who won his election against a Democrat, was as Trump sycophant, but I could be wrong. But I do know for a fact that Abbott and DeSantis of the world were playing a pretty good middle line. DeSantis more so. They weren't shitting on Trump, but they definitely weren't prodding his endorsement like crazy. Trump, even offended by DeSantis's polling without him, basically threw him under the bus a few times, yet he still won. He won. Of all the Republicans, he solidified himself. Now, I don't think it's just because he is an anti-Trumper in the eyes of many. I think he's just a pretty good politician. Even though I don't agree with his policies, I think his efforts to make the Democrats look bad with the sending the immigrants to their homes was genius. I mean, that's something Trump always talked about. He even took credit for when DeSantis did it. So Trump, and this is a separate video I'm going to do, but Trump realizing now he is not the guy that he thinks he is. He is not the Teflon Don that people deemed him as. He is actually, from what we're seeing now, we saw a little bit before in the general election, in the midterms before, that he is volatile, but this is the nail in the coffin for him. For many, we don't want to vote for this guy. And now you have a guy like DeSantis who is good enough, who can ride the Republican policies and be less crazy. DeSantis, albeit looked shitty in his last debate for the general election in Florida, he looked like crap, but he still looked normal. Like, he didn't say anything outrageous or super xenophobic or super incoherent. He just looked like a nervous, dude. Like, he wasn't that crazy looking, and his policies seemed pretty minimal the way he explained it to Republicans. So I think we have a world where we're going to see a DeSantis versus Trump, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more because I think that topic itself is pretty crazy. But we also see in the midterms that this is not the Trump world we thought we were living in. So we'll see what happens. Of course, Arizona's still being counted. Lauren Boebert's election's going on. Republicans still won by all means. Like, in my mind, they should be having no seats, but them gaining seats was still a matter of the truth. They did win in some aspects, not as much as people thought they were, which makes me happy and gleeful for joy. And the bar is low that them barely winning is what makes me happy. But, we'll see. They're not fully there yet. Nobody's there yet. The way we've tallied it up, we're still debating. So I think by the time I release this video, it's going to be decisive enough to say, okay, Republicans won by this much. But again, even with all that, with the worst case scenario, Republicans did not win as much as they expected and as much as they thought they should. So we'll see what occurs. But as it plays right now, the Trumpers of the world are scared. The Republicans are beating themselves up. And Biden honestly can do a victory lap. He looked good retaining his House and Senate as much as he did. And you can say it's because of the Republicans. You can definitely say it's because of his policies. We'll see the exact numbers, but how much the student debt relief brought out young people to vote. Maybe his pulling out of Afghanistan wasn't the most popular. But maybe people saw through that and said, hey, I'd rather have a guy who's anti-war than a pro-war. He's not doing drone strikes. I don't think people are talking about those as much, but I think the Roe v. Wades and the student loan debts, they go a long way. Now, I have my reasons I voted for him. The drone strike thing is really cool, but not that he's doing drone strikes, but that he's not. So maybe people see that policy. I can't pin it. I can't pin it. We'll see when the night's over. But, thank you all so much. You all have a good one. Gabagool.
Just giving my shields a recharge. Recharging my shields. Tossing up some amped cover. Let's explore this way. I'm spotted. Taking fire. Got it. I cracked an enemy shield. I heard them. Reloading. Recharging my shields. Arming up here. Reloading.
Amped cover for you, mates.
I heard them.
Round 5. Beginning ring countdown.
Defending here. Whole squad's not in the ring. If you're gonna die, at least get shot.
Spot on. Recharging shields. Taking fire.
Hello, Sheila. Oh, I've never seen.
Firing. Recharging shields.
Mates, that's one side enemy over there.
Giving my shields a recharge. Ultimate ready. Mama's watching now. Listen up, I'm getting shot at. We'll get it now. Repair drone if you need it. Rich, come and get your birthday present.
Don't run now! Get your butts back here! You're gonna miss all the fun!
Listen up, I'm getting shot at.
Mates, check out this way.
Just giving my shields a recharge. Hold out, the team.
Fool spotted.
Copy that.
Enemy OT.
I'm spotted. Taking fire.
Putting up some amped cover.
Taking damage.
Putting up some amp.
Getting some damage over here. Gone now, say hello.
Over there.
Recharging my shield. Recharging my shield.
45 seconds. Ring ain't far enough.
Taking fire.
Mates, check out this way.
Enemy shields broke.
Amped cover for you, mates.
Recharging my shield.
Fancy. Your mates got one there.
We've got 30 seconds to get to the next ring. If you go down, I'm not carrying you.
Got a bad one over there.
Listen up, I'm getting shot at. Broke their shield now. Tossing thermite. Shooting.
Putting up some amped cover.
Enemy. Just giving my shields a recharge.
We've got 10 seconds. I hate to say it, but looting time's over.
Hold on, Reloaded.
Enemies.
Still, let me tell you, the battle ring is closing in.
You are the Apex Champions.